Welcome to Biss Sports. I'm your host, Lou White. This is our first official show. This season, we will host many professionals of the basketball industry. Also, this season, we'll provide resources for current and former basketball players that also enjoy the game. So when we come back, we'll be joined by my guest, former Harlem Globetrotter, Choo Smith of Choo Smith Enterprises. Do not go away. We'll be right back. You're watching Biss Sports with Lou White. Today we have a special guest, Baltimore native and former original Harlem Globetrotter, Choo Smith. Hey man, welcome.
What's up, my man, sweet Lou?
Man, I'm glad you could make it, man.
Love you, babe, love you. Look, this is your first show. I am honored and privileged for you to make me your first guest. You know I got tricks up my bag. I got a surprise for you.
Oh, wow.
Custom made Harlem Globetrotter 2001 edition special for my man, first show.
Wow, man. I appreciate you, man. This really starts my show off right.
Yes.
This is outstanding, man.
You know, we did the Scooby-Doo back in the day.
Hey, man.
Curly, Metal Lock, you know, all them guys.
Is it too late for me to be a Globetrotter? Is it too late?
I mean, you still lacing it up. Put it in.
Nah, I'm done. I'm done.
Wow, man.
What did it mean to you when you actually got your jersey and actually saw your name on the back?
Wow. You know, when we're kids, you know, we sit back and we dream about, you know, like in the NCAA, when you hear them had a starting lineup. Starting at the guard, number 24, Ralph Sampson or Adrian Branch. And for me to come out there smoke and being one of the originals from Baltimore and my name on the back of the jersey, it just, wow. Me, of all the kids that play this game, I'm one of 700 kids that try to become a Globetrotter. 790 years, wow. Did my heart great, my man.
Man, that's huge, man. I know there's a lot of ball players that come out of Baltimore. A lot of them are really good, but a lot of them don't make it to the level that you've made it. Right. And I'm trying to figure out from you, real fast, who is the legend of Baltimore when it comes to, you've heard the name, you may not have saw it, but everyone agrees that that person was the best to come out of the city?
You know, Skip Wise.
Skip Wise.
Skip Wise, 1974, Dunbar legend, went to Clemson, All-American, and there's everybody else.
Wow.
Everybody else.
Now, because there's so many good ball players that come out of Baltimore, I'm going to expand the list a little bit. So we're going to give you a top 5.
You're going to put me on the spot?
I want a top 5 of your selection of the names.
Wow, you know I'm going to be biased because I'm going to always look at my generation. I'm going to go by position. And I'm going to say Muggsy Bogues at the point. I'm going to go Mike Brown at the 2. I'm going to go Carmelo at the 3. I'm going to go, wow.
Yeah, that's a list right there. That's a list right there.
Skip. And then I'm going to finalize it with Marvin Webster. Marvin Webster.
I got you. Not a bad list. By far, that beats a lot of cities across the United States, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah,
so, you know, that's an amazing list. So when you look at your accomplishments, you know, versus other professionals, right, there's kids that can actually, you know, see you more than they can see other professionals on a regular basis.
Right.
What kind of information do you have for them as far as how to get better, you know, how to stay focused, since you see so many kids on a regular basis?
Well, you know, coming up from Baltimore to inner cities like we've come from, you know, you see people on TV all the time. And when you see these players, baseball, football, boxing, they're our legends because they're doing something that we inspire to be. So when I look at guys that have made it, I'm always like, it's just our responsibility to give back. And when I talk to the young people, I know when I was a young guy, when I seen somebody in the neighborhood that made it, I just wanted to touch them. I wanted them to give me anything. You know, if you taught me just to go around my back with the basketball, that was something that just touched me for weeks and weeks and weeks at a time, and I worked on that. So I promised myself once I became something that was significant in my area, that I was going to be hands-on with kids, and I was going to love them. I was going to tell them that, listen, I know you're faced with a lot of challenges. I know it's a lot of obstacles you got to overcome, but this is how I got through it, and this is how I dream, and this is how I believe. And I just surrounded myself with people that were better than me. You know, you gotta be okay with failure. You gotta be okay with some setbacks. And because I showed them that example, let them know I'm vulnerable, I'm flawed, but this is how you get back up. And the game of basketball is that. You know that, Lou.
Yeah.
Wins, losses, adversity, you know, favoritism. It's all kinds of stuff that you go through with basketball, but you got to be true to you, and you got to believe in you. And then that way, if you believe in yourself, others will believe in you.
Yeah, outstanding. Outstanding stuff, man. In order to be a Globetrotter, when you first, you know, how did that road take place? How did you become a Globetrotter? Like, you know, was it something that you know, researched and applied for, or, you know, how did you go about being a Globetrotter?
You know, Lou, my story is different. I didn't grow up playing basketball like everyone else. You know, I played baseball, played football, I boxed, and basketball, the reason I started playing was because people said I was too small. So at 15 years old, guys was dominating me, and they said I was too small, so I gave up all those other sports. And I want to prove to myself that even though I was so small, I could play the game of basketball. So going to high school, only playing 1 year high school basketball. Then I went to Bowie State, so big shout out to Bowie. You know, got hurt, another setback. Then I go to UDC. And then I just kept believing and surrounding myself with great ball players like yourself and learning how to be a professional of the game and just studying and just being a student of the game. And I started getting better and better. And then my senior year, we were playing our last game, playing against Ben Wallace, and all the NBA scouts came to see him. And I happened to have 25 and 9 that game. And wow, the rest was history. I got invited to a veterans camp, a rookie free agent camp with the Knicks, and that kind of went pretty good. Then went overseas for a minute, got released, sent home, went to USBL, got released. You know, that journey, you know, the basketball journey. And then I was playing with the Rockford Lightning for a second, and then a great name by named Randy Livingston got cut from the league. So you know it's a food chain.
Right.
So once he got cut, then they said, Choo, this is his spot. You know, he's the man in the CBA. So then I went to the Harrisonburg Horizon, played well. Globetrotter representative there said, man, you just, your personality, your spirit, how hard you play. Listen, man, I think you could be a Globetrotter. Are you willing to come with us and go overseas and play against some of the national teams? I did that, went to training camp, it was 125 guys.
Wow.
Only 4 made it.
Wow.
And I was blessed to make it. I just listened to the veterans. Listen, you got to be on time, you got to be early, you got to do those things. And it was a hard transition, but it taught me so much about perfection. You know, you're not going to be perfect, but you should practice perfection and excellence. And that's what the Globetrotters represent. As you know, it seems like they don't make no mistakes.
Yeah.
Because we go on over it over and over and over again.
Man, that's awesome, man. You know, as you said, you know, traveling overseas, you know, approximately how many games per year did you play?
See, it's broken down in 2 different groups when I played. You had the East Coast team You had the West Coast team.
Okay.
So after training camp, they break you up.
Okay.
So they send 10 guys east, 10 guys west.
Okay.
And the schedule is 150 games each side.
That's a lot of games.
So we would play 150 games in the United States, and then after April, they'll send a group out to do some camps, then they'll send a group to do some ambassador work, and then they'll send a group to South America, Europe, and Africa, or some military bases. And we all will go, and we'll play probably roughly around 70, 80 games during the summer. So you're talking about each player is getting about 200 and something games in 365 days.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot of basketball. A lot of basketball in your body.
Yes.
So give me an example of an actual daily schedule of a Globetrotter.
Wow, great question. You know, that's the first question somebody's ever asked. All the interviews ask me that. So, like, I'm going to break it down in two parts, the ambassador part and the game part. Now, the ambassadors, they go out before we reach the city.
Okay.
And what happens, their itinerary is crazy. They may start off at 4 o'clock in the morning to do ready from 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8. Then they go on television station for the morning TV. Then they go to the schools. Then they go and do some another TV, do some appearances at the Children's Hospital. And then they do a couple commercials, and that's ongoing for the team to get there. So that's that kind of marketing that takes place. For the players, let's say we get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Our game's normally around 7:30 p.m. So what happens is you get up, you know, if you're late on the bus, it's a fine. So,
Absolutely.
and then they leave you. And we get on the bus, let's say we got to travel 2.5, 3 hours. Once we get there, they check us in. Then if you got interviews, you got to go to your interview. If you got to go to a school, you go to a school. Mm-hmm. And then you eat. The next thing you know, you practice. You work on your reams, you go to the gym, you work on your reams. And reams are doing, you know, all the skill stuff. And then we do the competitive part. Because we have two teams, because, you know, we play college all-stars and overseas.
Right.
And then once that happens around, by 2:30, we kind of grab a little lunch, a little bite to eat. And then we're in the gym the rest of the day just kind of preparing, getting our minds, having some chalk talks, because we got to go out and talk to the fans that come in. That's like junior Globetrotters. And then we play the game. And then after the game, we sign the autographs. The next thing you know, we go to the hotel, we eat. We lay in a tub of ice, and it's right back to the same thing. So we'll play 150 some odd games in 159 days.
Wow. Well, that means you guys have a great bond. I mean, it seems like it had to be a real tight-knit bond, you know, real tight-knit.
Real tight. I mean, we sleep on the bus. If we fly, we sleep at the airport sometimes. Sometimes when you're going overseas, the connectors are not right, so we got to stay there. I mean, you learn a lot about camaraderie. And you learn a lot about yourself. You know, the one thing that's the part that I miss. Just learn about different facets of how people were brought up, how people deal with adversity. And then you learn about how people really love their craft. I tell you a story, and I give big shout out to Lou Dunbar and Clyde Sinclair. I remember I worked so hard because I didn't go to a big university. Most of the guys that's on the Globetrotters, they went to North Carolina, Duke, and all those schools. So they have a following that's tremendous. I have a little following. So it was harder to make the team. You got to really make it because it's all about putting people in the seats. So I remember I worked so hard, and I outplayed a lot of top guys to get on the roster. And I remember my first game, Clyde, we played, and I was kind of trying to fit in. And I'm not going to tell you the words he said, but he tore into me. Yeah. And everybody was kind of shocked because they like, wow, he from Baltimore, you know how people are. Yeah. But my father said, you always bow down to the truth, no matter what someone said, how they say it. And because I knew they cared about me, I didn't pout, I didn't get down. I invited the way he did. He said, you got to be a professional. You worked hard. It's something big for this red, white, blue. Only 600 and something people wore this jersey. It ain't about you wearing it now. It's about you keeping it. You got to represent people who are hard for this. So I took that in, and I said, you know what? I will never disrespect the brand ever again, because it's bigger than me.
Man, that's big stuff. That's big stuff. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back with Choo Smith, former Harlem Globetrotter. Welcome back to Biss Sports. I'm Lou White, sitting here with the original Harlem Globetrotter, Choo Smith. Before the break, we were talking about how well-traveled you were, you know, how many different places and the daily schedule and the grind of being a Globetrotter. How many cities, countries has it actually been that you've traveled to?
Well, I've played in all 50 states, and as a player, I played in 26 countries, and I've been to 40-something countries.
Wow. Wow. Speak another language?
No, I'm trying to. Sprechen Sie Deutsch. Ich bin klein.
No.
Fabio. J'aime beaucoup.
Yeah. Now, with the traveling, did you see anything odd or weird that was just out of the normal? Kind of like, I remember going to Amsterdam and seeing a Jeep Cherokee for 127,000 euros, you know, which is, you know, almost like $35,000. Did you see anything that was, you know, kind of over the top that you remember to this day?
Well, you know, it's so much, but it's some things that kind of touch me, some incidents when I played, when I was in South America. We were playing a game inside the stadium, and it was a family that was living in our locker room.
Wow.
That was amazing. And we had to go through the family room to go use the bathroom. And
Wow.
they had the children. She had triplets. And she had 3 babies in the drawer, sleeping.
Wow.
You know,
That's
that
touching.
was, and then when we left, you know, we were getting ready to go play. We had all the food, because, you know, when we play, they give us all the food layout. And I was like, y'all not going to feed the family? So I went in there and I fed the family. Like, Choo, what are you doing? You can't. I'm like, they need food. Mm-hmm. So she had like 7 kids in this little room in the arena. That was something that really stood out to me that I speak about often.
Well, that's touching, man. You know, there's a lot that goes into being a Globetrotter, as you spoke about. Give me more so what the fans and what the people don't know about the Harlem Globetrotters. They know about the show. They know about, you know, the athleticism. They know about the game that actually goes on. Tell us some things that the Harlem Globetrotters do on a regular basis that may not be publicized as much, whether it's, you know, community work or things of that nature. Tell us something that we don't really see, because most of the time we see, you know, the Globetrotters are coming to town for the game, and, you know, and it just seems like it's just a game and then that's it.
Well, you know, I'm big on history, and I'm big on, you know, our forefathers and foresisters paving the way for us. You know, the Globetrotters, you know, to be a Globetrotter, I didn't really understand the magnitude of the history and the power. But one of the things that I've learned, they broke through a lot of different barriers many years ago. They trailblazed a lot of different things that we see today. The first African-American player to join the NBA, along with Chuck Cooper and Earl Lloyd, was Nate Sweetwater Clifton. They all signed around the same time, 1948. That's huge. Mm-hmm. You know, Globetrotters were making the most money over the NBA. The Globetrotters broke through the steel curtain where during Eisenhower days, it was a lot of the war. Just came off of World War II. They sent the Globetrotters out for peace. You got so many different things that the Globetrotters, they were the most recognizable team in the world for 40 plus years. You know, they just represent so much, you know, in terms of goodwill, and it's bigger than the game. You know, their whole thing is they want you to enjoy life. You come those 2 hours, put all your problems aside, bring your family, and let's enjoy. And let's have fun. You know, just to see that country after country after country, that's huge.
Yeah, man, that's big. And as you said before, it was, you know, only 700 that wore the jersey.
Yes, sir.
You know, I know it's kind of difficult to stay in contact with some of the active guys, but as far as the retired ones, how much do you guys still interact? Or is it often, or is it not too much?
Well, one of the things that I wanted to do, because I'm grateful that those guys many years sacrificed so much. You know, they had to work 3 jobs. They had to go through so much. Some of them were playing in boats, and they beat their bodies up. They didn't have great health plans. So my thing was, once I became part of the NBRPA, that's the National Retired Players Association, that has the Globetrotters, the WNBA, and the NBA players. They made me part of the task force and also the vice president of the retired Globetrotters. So my thing was, how do we bring a reunion, and how do we bring those generations together? So my thing was, I called every last Globetrotter that retired, that's living. And it was kind of funny how everyone had their different stories. You had a lot of pain. A lot of people feel like they was mistreated. A lot is owed to them because they made a lot of money for the NBA because they were the show, you know. So I try to talk to these guys and let them know, listen, you can beat me up how you want. Use me as a punching bag. But I'm here to come back to you to let you know I love you and I thank you for sacrificing what you sacrificed. And what can I do to make it a little bit better, because you fought for so much, and you're in your 70s, you're in your 80s, you're in your 60s now. And me as being a younger person, how can we keep the legacy going? And how can we pull a page so the history can show how great a men you really were? So I try to talk to them, and I talk to them like the great Carl Green. I'm going up there to New York, where we're going to do this international thing with the embassy. You're going to be a part of that. I'm excited about that, you know, being with the United Nations and all the different ambassadors and the sports directors all the world. You know, just bringing that, you know, using a game, because, you know, basketball is so unique because you can be different ethnic groups, but when you at that game, if I like the Trotters or if I like the Raiders or we together. And at the end of the day, we can start listening to each other a little bit better, a little bit different.
Right.
So that's, you know, when I look at those players, I just love them for it, man. I just thank them for paving the way.
Right. That's great. We all have a memory of the Globetrotters. Me as a child, you know, I remember just the energy that they had. You know, I was privileged enough to have, you know, some good seats, you know, a few rows back, you know, and I remember Globetrotter walking by, and, you know, constantly smiling, and the energy level was there. Just knowing that sometimes, you know, our country right now, you know, needs that type of energy. I've been around that type of energy and power. And if you can, please get all 700 of the Globetrotters, past, present, the ones and beyond that have been gone, if you can get them back, it would be really great, man, for some cities, you know, like Chicago could use, you know, that same energy and love that I've seen before. Right. You know, inside your city, you know, in Baltimore, the love that you all have, you know, the energy is crazy. And
we appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's something that I'll never forget as a child. And I just want to know, you know, do you feel as though there is a drop-off from the older guys, like the Sweet Lou Dunbars and the Billy Ray Hobleys and the Lynette Woodard, and, you know, the energy level, has it dropped at all with the current Globetrotters, or do you feel like it's going a different direction because of the way social media presents itself, because that was one thing that we would wait on.
Right.
And with social media now, you can see it whenever you want. So it seems like it wouldn't be an anticipation.
Yeah, I think change is always going to occur. We talk about that all the time, dude. And I think that, many years ago, at the time, it was original, it was authentic, it was the first. And when you had players back at that time, the marketing was different. They showcased the superstars back then. The Metal Lock was showcased. The Curly Neal was showcased. But due to the business side of it, what happens is folks looking at all these seats, but I'm getting a little itty bitty check. So if I'm Metal Lock Lemon and I'm on Burger King commercials, I'm doing this and that, and everybody's yelling Metal Lock, you're like, where my money? And then you got other people. So what happens is management that's running the business, they're saying, hold up. Metal Lock goes off, or this player goes off, they get another team, the seats are packed, so it's that competition. So what happens is the change occurred over the years because the new ownership said, we're gonna market the team and not individuals. So that's why it's kind of, people will say, is the Globetrotter still around, or are they still relevant like that? And, but if you go to an NBA arena, they sell it out.
Right.
You go to a college arena, it's sold out. You go overseas, it's sold out, and they're still making a lot of money and things are still happening well. And I just think that, we gotta, and this is the power of the show that I give you kudos on, you gotta give that internal perspective, not the commercialized. What's the internal perspective? Like, all of us are different. So when we meet an individual that's 75 years old, you didn't walk in those shoes. So you gotta be a great listener to understand where they were and how they put a lot of time into that game. Whereas now it's about the social media, it's about being commercialized. And how can we, and I'm not saying they're cutting corners, but we gotta embrace the new generation because that's what it is. And we gotta listen to the old gotta listen to the young. And then when we do that, I think all brands can elevate. And then we gotta be in this weed world. Yeah. We talk about that we, our, us. We got a little brother Arthur. Like, he's always positive. He's always upbeat.
Right.
No negativity. Just like your show. I'm proud of you, man. Like, this is huge.
I appreciate it.
This is big, and that's what we got to get our brands to understand.
Thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate you. I always do. I love you, man.
He said he loved me on camera.
Hey, thanks for coming through,
man. That's
your
first love, man.
It's not your first love.
Love you too, man. I'm proud of you, man.
Thanks for coming out, man.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me, man. I'm proud of you. Your show going to go to the moon, man. You're the best.
Thanks for watching Biss Sports with Lou White. Please stay tuned in the credits where you can connect with my guest, former original Harlem Globetrotter, Choo Smith, his social media tags, upcoming events. We'll see you next time on Biss Sports with Lou White.